Chapter 1820, Cursed True God, 1. Although the seal had already been broken, they had no intention of losing that key. After all, it was a holy artifact. But just as the heavenly demon's hand grasped that key, the woman let out a piercing shriek. Countless black swirls of wind as sharp as knives charged straight at that heavenly demon, cutting off the hand that was on the key. The heavenly demon screamed, breaking the key the moment his hand was chopped off. Surprise flashed across his face. Not daring to linger on, he bashed through the doors and flew off. Tu Fu was momentarily startled. He then started to make his escape too. The black swirling wind had engulfed the entire secret room. By then, the woman's divine consciousness was shrouded in rage. Following the betrayal by her beloved, all her hatred and anger had pushed her right to the brink of sanity. Her face became increasingly twisted, and the entire secret room was filled with a black fog. Loud crashes and booms echoed in the room. The immense black fog covered everything from sight. Enchanting could no longer see what was happening. The thunderous booms gradually faded and a sliver of light slowly appeared before her eyes. "What are you seeing now?" Little White Tiger lifted its head to look at Enchanting, who had suddenly gone stiff. Enchanting had also been in this motionless state when she was in that previous illusion in the temple. "I feel like I understand something," Enchanting frowned slightly. She found the woman's raging energy very familiar. She had also felt that sense of danger the moment she stepped into the mystic realm. The primordial humans had betrayed the true gods. They allied themselves with the heavenly demons and slaughtered all the gods. As a result, the grievances and hatred of the cursed true god had engulfed the entire mystic realm upon death. In the illusion, those blooming flowers and vibrant green fields had been swallowed by the power of the cursed true god, leaving behind only the frozen ice fields and the scorched hot lands. Every single human who stepped into this mystic realm would be cursed. Unable to die, yet unable to leave. According to the legend, all the true gods who had hurried over to this mystic realm had perished. But Enchanting never saw a single divine consciousness left behind by any of the fallen true gods. Apart from that female true god. As Enchanting watched the final scene, she watched the woman go insane with anger after being betrayed by her beloved. Following that, a bold notion formed in her mind. Was this woman the cursed true god? If so, was she controlling everything in this mystic realm with that magical melodic voice of hers? Enchanting couldn't help shivering in fear at the thought of this. If she was right, then everything had just become more dangerous. The cursed true god's hatred for humans was at its extreme. In the illusion, Enchanting also saw how this originally loved and blissful woman gradually morphed into the destructive cursed true god. Enchanting felt that she was really lucky to have survived her 2 encounters with the cursed true god. The windstorm in the frozen ice fields and this rain of fire must be the embodiment of the cursed true god's hatred and anger. And yet, even though she was frightened, she also couldn't help feeling sorry for the cursed true god. Who could truly understand the pain and bitterness that the cursed true god had endured from being betrayed twice? Chapter 1821, Cursed True God, 2. The human race, whom they personally created, had betrayed them. Not only that, her beloved heavenly demon had used her. Enchanting had felt rather astonished when she saw the romance between the cursed true god and the heavenly demon, Tu Fu. But now, she couldn't help sighing at the thought of it. By the time Enchanting snapped out of her trance, she saw that the key was already in her hand. Although it was broken and tens of thousands of years had already passed since, Enchanting could still feel the power embedded in the broken remnants of the key. Recalling the illusions she had seen, Enchanting remembered where the other half of the key was. She immediately searched for it under a pile of rubble and found it. Even after tens of thousands of years, the chopped-off hand of that heavenly demon didn't show any signs of decay. It was still holding on to the other half of that key. Enchanting retrieved the piece of key from the heavenly demon's hand. All Enchanting saw at the end of the illusion was a blanket of darkness. She had no idea where Tu Fu had gone. As she considered the two halves of the key in her hand, she could detect a faint holy light exuding from the key. A chill traveled down her palm into her body, dispelling the warmth within her. Although the key was broken and she didn't know if it would still be of use in future, it was nonetheless a holy artifact. Enchanting placed it inside her space ring. If she could escape this mystic realm, she might be able to analyze whether this key could still be of any use. If the key was just an instrument to open the seal, there was no reason for the heavenly demon to want to take it away with him. After putting it away, Enchanting scanned the secret room again, trying to see if there was anything else worth noticing. She was stunned when her eyes landed on a corner. An immense black figure was standing in front of a partially collapsed wall. Enchanting was taken aback when she saw the face of that black figure. Tu Fu, that black figure stood there unmoving before the wall. His exquisitely handsome face was completely impassive, as if he was merely sleeping. "This heavenly demon is already dead," Little White Tiger said after just one glance. "Dead?" Enchanting was shocked. "He did something before he died." Little White Tiger motioned at the wall behind Tu Fu. A totem had been drawn on the partially collapsed wall, and Tu Fu was standing right in the center of that totem. "It looks like some kind of heavenly demon ritual. But this totem is too ancient. Even I can't recognize it." Although Little White Tiger studied the totem for a long while, he couldn't decipher it. Was he killed by the cursed true god? Enchanting recalled the final scene in the illusion. "I can't tell. This heavenly demon looks very powerful. Based on what you said before, the cursed true god was only left with a bit of divine consciousness. She might not have been able to kill him," Little White Tiger deduced. "Then how did he die? Could he have committed suicide?" Enchanting mused. Little White Tiger, a heavenly demon who could bear to take advantage of his lover. He would be mad to commit suicide right after gaining his freedom. Then he was probably killed by the cursed true god. Didn't you say that the cursed true god had gone insane with rage? With so much hatred in her heart, her powers might have been magnified. Little White Tiger changed its tune. Chapter 1822, Cursed True God, 3. Enchanting and Little White Tiger discussed for a long time, but failed to ascertain what happened at that final moment tens of thousands of years ago. While they were still debating, Little Heavenly Demon waddled over to Tu Fu's body. With eyes wide with curiosity, it gazed up at the heavenly demon who had died all those years ago. Is it okay to let this little kid stare at the dead body of one of its own kind?" Enchanting couldn't help feeling worried at Little Heavenly Demon's curious expression. Would the sight of the corpse of this heavenly demon leave a scar on its young, impressionable mind? "Please, it is a heavenly demon. Do you think it's some innocent little puppy? Heavenly demons are capable of killing each other, the mere sight of a corpse is nothing to it. Instead of worrying about that, you should worry about whether it might take a bite out of that corpse." Little White Tiger snorted. The image of Little Heavenly Demon gnawing on the body of that true god was still fresh in their minds. Enchanting was speechless. But before Enchanting could say another word, Little Heavenly Demon suddenly reached out one little paw and tapped Tu Fu's leg. That heavenly demon corpse, which had been maintained perfectly in that state for tens of thousands of years, instantly disintegrated with that one tap. The tall, strapping figure collapsed into a heap of black dust which scattered across the ground. "Cough cough cough, damn you little punk. Were you really going to eat it?" Little White Tiger was coughing so intensely that tears had sprung to its eyes. If not for the fact that it was no match for Little Heavenly Demon, it would have already given it a sound thrashing. Enchanting was astounded by the disintegrated body. Why did it suddenly disintegrate? That demon hand holding the key had been fine when she retrieved the key from its grasp. It even felt rather firm and bouncy, as if it had just been chopped off. But Tu Fu's corpse instantly disintegrated with just one light touch. Who knows? It might have something to do with the totem behind him. It is too dusty here, are you done? Let's go if you are. Little White Tiger was still coughing badly. Enchanting gave one last look at the totem on the wall, memorizing it. She then turned and left the underground palace, with the sniffling little White Tiger and the dazed little heavenly demon in her arms. Upon returning to the surface, the rain of fire was still going strong. Towering flames spread across the entire earth, but the singing voice of that woman was nowhere to be heard. When is this rain of fire going to stop? Will it go on forever? We will waste away in this place if it doesn't stop. Little White Tiger gazed despondently at the blazing sky. Enchanting took stock of the food in her space ring. As little heavenly demon was now awake, her supplies had been depleting very quickly. While Enchanting could go without food for up to 2 weeks without any problem, little heavenly demon on the other hand. She didn't forget the way little heavenly demon would eye little White Tiger when it was hungry. When all their food supplies were depleted, little heavenly demon might just kick little White Tiger out to roast in the rain of fire, so that it could eat it. It's a pity that my Dharma treasures are ineffective here. Otherwise, I can use something to ward off the fiery rain. Enchanting sighed softly. Wait. Having suddenly thought of something, she took out those 2 halves of the key from her space ring. Chapter 1823, Fire Demon 1, What are they? Little White Tiger looked at the 2 halves of the key. Little White Tiger had seen Enchanting retrieve the 2 halves of the key, but it didn't see the illusion. As a result, it didn't know what these 2 pieces were used for. It thought Enchanting had just kept them on a casual whim. This is the key that the true gods use to imprison the heavenly demons. Since I can't use my Dharma treasures here, I want to see if I can use this holy artifact instead. Enchanting looked at the broken key in her hand. This mystic realm was very dangerous and the power of the cursed true god was very adversarial toward human beings. The rain of fire was too powerful for them. Even if they could stay in the temple forever, how would they be able to destroy the body of the cursed true god and escape from this realm if they did so? Enchanting didn't want to be trapped in this god-forsaken place forever. Little White Tiger's eyes lit up. Let's try. Enchanting nodded. With the broken key in hand, she tried walking out of the temple. The ground was covered in raging flames. Hot, bubbling lava flowed down from the sky in an endless torrential explosion of heat. Enchanting took a deep breath and walked into the flames, placing her body under the pouring lava. The moment the flames touched Enchanting, a faint layer of light suddenly spread out from her body. In the blink of an eye, the halo of light engulfed her entire body, forming a holy shield around her. The lava instantly dissipated the moment it made contact with the holy light shield. The corners of Enchanting's lips curved in a slight smile. It seemed this key was rather useful. Thereafter, Enchanting turned back into the temple. She looped each half of the key with a leather band, placing one around her own neck and the other around little White Tiger's. She then picked up little heavenly demon. Little White Tiger glanced at the key hanging around its neck with an incredulous expression. Why do I feel like this thing is similar to a dog collar? Enchanting was speechless. What kind of comparison was that? Do you want to be a dog? Of course not. Little White Tiger was affronted. It was a white tiger. Why the hell would it want to be a dog? Then just rein in your wild imagination. It could go ahead and imagine being a dog if it wanted to. Why did it have to include her in the comparison? Stupid tiger. Little White Tiger opened its mouth to retort, but in the end, it shut its jaws submissively. With the holy artifact protecting them, Enchanting and Little White Tiger stepped into the rain of fire. They breathed a huge sigh of relief when no harm came to them. Only the heavens would know how long this fiery rain would last. With this key, they didn't have to worry about being trapped here. Relying on the key's protection, they could finally weave through the rain of fire. Walking amongst the raging flames, Enchanting saw many charred black bodies of all sorts of monsters. The smell of roasted meat wafted over, and Little Heavenly Demon could not stop the drool coming out of his mouth. It was salivating uncontrollably. Noticing its pitiful face, Enchanting reached out to carve off some roasted monster meat to feed it. At least this saved Enchanting the hassle of hunting and cooking beasts. It was really very convenient. However, Enchanting didn't dare to linger too long in this area. Although the key was protecting them, who knew what other strange things would happen to her again. Chapter 1824, Fire Demon 2. As they made their way through, Enchanting tried her best to remember all that she saw in the illusion. She had seen the death of the cursed true god in the illusion. If she was right, that place should be the cemetery of the true gods. So it was likely that the body of the cursed true god should be there. As long as she followed the route she saw in the illusion, she should be able to find it. The key not only protected her from the flames and lava, it also relieved Enchanting from the scorching heat. In comparison to before, her journey was much more comfortable now. But after traveling for half a day, Enchanting suddenly noticed something strange about the flames raging above the ground. The blazing fires were suddenly swaying intensely, as if strong winds were rushing through and sucking in the flames and lava into numerous spiraling fire dragons. What's going on? Little White Tiger watched the strange scene with incredulous eyes. Enchanting was also shocked. In the blink of an eye, the strong winds died down and those flames and lava had been merged together into several 3-meter-tall fire monsters. Are those fire demons? Little White Tiger widened its eyes in disbelief at the fire demons. It felt like its mind was exploding. How can there be fire demons here? Enchanting was stunned. Fire demons were the servants of the heavenly demons and created by their power. In moments, hundreds of fire demons had emerged from the intense flames. The fire demons howled like wild beasts the moment they were formed. In the next second, they seemed to detect the presence of life around them, heading straight in the direction of Enchanting and Little White Tiger. Fire demons are the servants of heavenly demons. Get Little Heavenly Demon to control them. Even under such dire circumstances, Little White Tiger managed to keep its wits about it. Enchanting immediately looked down at Little Heavenly Demon in her arms. The little fellow was munching contentedly on a piece of meat. Enchanting quickly snatched the piece of meat away from it. Little Heavenly Demon was stunned. Its eyes immediately filled with tears as it stared after its beloved meat. It looked as if it was being bullied. Enchanting's heart softened. But looking at the large number of fire demons, she steeled her resolve. Make them stop and I will give you back this meat. Little Heavenly Demon gazed at Enchanting in confusion. Anguished, it stared at the piece of meat with tear-filled eyes, before turning to look at the group of fire demons. Pouting, it suddenly roared at the bunch of fire demons. Hearing that roar, those charging fire demons came to a sudden stop. They looked like they had been nailed to the ground, swaying side to side. Thank goodness. Enchanting heaved a sigh of relief. Just as she was about to hand the meat back to Little Heavenly Demon, she suddenly saw that there were 3 exceptionally large fire demons who were not under Little Heavenly Demon's control. They continued to charge toward them from the back of the group, trampling over the rest of the immobile fire demons. What's happening? Enchanting was bewildered. Weren't they the servants of the heavenly demons? Could it because little heavenly demon was too young and so they refused to obey? Run! Those three are mutant fire demons. Little heavenly demon is too young and can't control them. When he saw those three gigantic fire demons, little white tiger's scalp went numb and its entire body tensed. Not daring to hesitate any longer, Enchanting picked up little heavenly demon and little white tiger, escaping as quickly as she could. Chapter 1825, Fire Demon 3. No matter how quickly she tried to escape, the fire demons faster. Even at 5 meters tall, they quickly caught up with Enchanting and little white tiger. Quick, throw this little rascal over. Seeing the three mutant fire demons right on their tails, little white tiger rushed towards Enchanting and swiped little heavenly demon from her arms with his mouth. Swinging its head hard, it threw little heavenly demon towards the three mutant fire demons. Enchanting was completely dumbstruck. She knew that little white tiger and little heavenly demon didn't always see eye to eye, but to throw it over to distract their pursuers, the three fire demons dodged little heavenly demon as though it wasn't there at all and continued chasing after Enchanting and the little white tiger. Little white tiger was left speechless. What had just happened? Are you an idiot? Why would the fire demons attack little heavenly demon of their own accord? Enchanting was completely stupefied at what the little white tiger had just done. I just wanted to make that little rascal useful. How would I know that it's so stupid it didn't even know to attack those three? Little white tiger groused. That little guy's greatest use right now is its roar. But it obviously has no effect on the three mutant fire demons, so what did you throw it over for? With that, Enchanting smacked little white tiger on the head. It was lucky that the three mutant fire demons had not attacked little heavenly demon or Enchanting would have killed him. How could he betray his own team like this? But she had no time to argue with little white tiger right now. Looking at the fire demons rapidly approaching them, she could only flee as fast as she could. Seeing the fleeing figures, the three mutant fire demons howled. 3 huge pillars of flames shot out from their mouths straight towards Enchanting and little white tiger. Looking at the approaching flames, Enchanting knew that she had no way of avoiding it. Having no choice, she grabbed little white tiger, tucking him safely in her chest, and released her energy. A huge wall of black flames appeared behind her and met with the 3 huge pillars of flames. Bang! A huge explosion reverberated through the air as the flames of the fire demons and Enchanting's black flames collided with sparks flying all over. Even though Enchanting had the broken piece of the key to protect her body, she could still feel her temperature rising rapidly. The mutant fire demons' flames were gradually suppressing her black flames. It was clear they were determined to burn her and little white tiger to death. As the threat of death got closer to them, Enchanting gritted her teeth and reached for the power of the deity ocean within her. In the blink of an eye, little white tiger and her entered the twisted space. But the moment Enchanting activated the deity ocean, the power sleeping within her all this while suddenly awoke. In the next second, Enchanting felt sudden heat enveloping her whole body. The heat was quickly swallowed by her black flames, and her black flames quickly dissolved into a scattering of gold flakes. The moment the black flame transformed, the power of the black flame increased greatly and changed when it met the fire demon's flames. The black flame which had been suppressed all this time seemed to be absorbing the fire demon's flames and becoming more powerful. Who knew that the black flames could devour the fire demon's flames? Enchanting couldn't believe her eyes. It was at the moment that she realized where the warmth within her was coming from. What's that? It was changing to the power of the devouring bloodline. Chapter 1826, Unexpected Surprise. 1. Enchanting had never been able to control the devouring bloodline. Who would have expected it to merge with her black flames? It couldn't be. Was this because of the deity ocean? But Enchanting had no time to spend thinking about this. She looked at her black flames devouring the fire demons, feeling herself getting stronger as the demons were slowly consumed. Even though her strength was not growing fast, it was already considered a big leap for a heavenly venerate. This devouring effect not only allowed her to escape from danger but also turned the fire demon's fire into something that she could absorb, increasing her own strength with comparative ease. Enchanting celebrated in her heart but did not dare let down her guard yet. As her black flames devoured the fire demon's fire, she saw the three mutant fire demon gradually shrink. The fire demons rely on the fire as their life force. You're depriving them of their power as you absorb their fire and are bleeding them dry. Now that the situation was looking more hopeful, Little White Tiger perked up and roared loudly. Enchanting's heart lifted as an idea popped into her head. Even though she couldn't hope to defeat the three mutant fire demons, it would still be good for her to let her black flames slowly sap away their energy. But in the blink of an eye, the 5-meter fire demons had shrunk down to only 3 meters in height. The flames they were spitting out of their mouths stopped suddenly as well. Have they used up all their power? Enchanting's heart was overjoyed. But before she could even express her joy, she noticed the 3 mutant fire demons absorbing the flames that were scorching the earth and falling from the sky. The fire demon absorbed the flames rapidly and grew to twice their height right in front of their eyes. Like that, they grew back to 5 meters in a split second. Enchanting, what the hell was that? The tiny sliver of hope she had just discovered was smashed into smithereens. Originally she had intended to finish off the 3 mutant fire demons with her black flames but had never thought that they would absorb the flames around themselves and grow back to their original size. The hope in her turned to despair as she looked at the flames covering the earth and the fire raining down on them. How long was it going to take to devour all of this? As long as the rain of fire continued, the 3 mutant fire demons would be able to replenish their energy infinitely. Although her black flames had gained the ability to devour her enemies, she was going to die if she didn't pay heed to the situation. Even though she wanted to curse this land 1,000 times, the only thing she could do now was look out for herself. It was already considered lucky that she got stronger as the black flames devoured everything, or she would have already been dead. However, just as Enchanting was about to lose all hope, the red clouds in the sky dispersed and the rain of fire slowly subsided. The Cursed True God song has already stopped for some time now, so the fire rain should be diminishing. We should use this opportunity to destroy them. Little White Tiger roared as it jumped out of Enchanting's arms. With its mane still bald and patchy in some areas, it sprayed white flames at the 3 mutant fire demons. Chapter 1827, Unexpected Surprise, 2, but the white flames were consumed by the fire demons the moment they touched them, and the demons seemed to grow bigger as well. What in the world? Little White Tiger was speechless. Are you sure you're not a spy sent by them? Enchanting hissed as she glared at Little White Tiger. The Little White Tiger grimaced and hung its head in remorse. Accident? It was an accident. How was it supposed to know that the fire demon was going to swallow its flames? Shoo! With that, Enchanting kicked Little White Tiger to one side. As long as the rain of fire stopped, the flames around them wouldn't be able to be sustained as well. It was only then that she would have an opportunity to kill the fire demons. Before long, the 3 mutant fire demons shrank as they lost their source of fire and their flames were consumed rapidly by Enchanting. They had noticed this as well, and suddenly stopped their barrage of flame attacks and rushed towards Enchanting in a frenzy. Enchanting dared not go close to them and swiftly flew upwards as the fire demons lunged for her. Even as she flew upwards, the black flames in her hands continued their attack on them. The black flames with glowing gold lights showed no signs of being engulfed as it hit the fire demons and swallowed their flames, devouring their power and sapping away at their strength. As the fire demons were devoured by her, Enchanting felt her power grow. Enchanting flew further and further from them as her black flames continued drawing the power from the fire demons. It was a long ordeal, but as time passed, the 5-meter-tall fire demons were slowly whittled down to about 2 meters. Likewise, the flames around them had died down greatly as well. Enchanting was about to use this opportunity to absorb them completely when she suddenly realized something. There were human-like figures among the fading flames. Were those humans in the fire demons' bodies? Enchanting was stunned and quickly controlled the black flames around the fire demons. It was only after absorbing all of the flames in the fire demons that Enchanting was able to see them clearly. There were 3 people in the 3 mutant fire demons. Furthermore, Enchanting recognized all 3 of them. She quickly withdrew her black flames and landed beside the 3 humans. The 3 of them who had their eyes tightly shut, collapsed right in front of Enchanting. Their clothes had been completely scorched by the flames of the fire demons and they were left with not an inch of clothing on their bodies. Enchanting's gaze swept across the 3 of them. All 3 of them had entered the mystic realm with Enchanting. Bailey Shi, Mu Feirua An. Jiang Xiaobai. Her lips began to twitch as she looked at them. They had absolutely nothing covering them and everything that shouldn't be seen was out in the open. Enchanting could see every part of them clearly. Despite looking slender and graceful, Bailey Shi was actually pretty muscular. As for Mu Feirua, flat-chested with clear abdominal muscles. Mu Feirua was male. A man. But the one who surprised Enchanting the most was Jiang Xiaobai. Ha! She was going to kill this cross-dressing guy. What did he say about being underdeveloped? It was all lies. Enchanting was immediately assaulted by the sight in front of her. The 2 girls and 1 man she had thought was with her had suddenly turned into 3 men right in front of her eyes. Chapter 1828, Unexpected Surprise, 3. Thinking about how the weak and soft Jiang Xiaobai who was with her all the time was an actual man, Enchanting wanted to kill him. Taking in a deep breath, Enchanting forcefully suppressed the murderous intent in her heart. Jiang Xiaobai, this little brat. How long had he deceived her? As for Mu Feirua, Enchanting had always thought that Mu Feirua was extremely tall, almost as tall as Bailey Shi and the others, but had always thought that she was just a taller girl. Unexpectedly, he was also a crossdresser. Was the world full of crossdressers? At the thought of Jiang Yixing worshipping Mu Feirua like he was a goddess and constantly proclaiming his love for her, Enchanting wanted to laugh. If Jiang Yixing knew that his goddess was a man, could he still love her? Jiang Xiaobai and the other 2 seemed to be in a stupor and didn't wake up even after Enchanting called them a few times. Enchanting was very curious about how the 3 of them had turned into the mutant fire demons. However, she breathed a sigh of relief when she saw that they were still alive. Other than the fact that they were in a stupor, they didn't seem to have any other injuries on them. Their breathing was even and their lives didn't seem to be in any danger. It was a miracle that she had been able to find her partners in this strange mystic realm. As for their gender, she had no energy to think about that now. Enchanting took out some clothes from her space ring and threw them on the 3 people on the ground. She couldn't very well leave them here and could only get little white tiger to grow bigger and carry them along as they continued on their journey forward. Enchanting also picked up little heavenly demon, which had been thrown out by little white tiger along the way. Having been discarded so pitifully, little heavenly demon's face was full of grievance as it nestled in Enchanting's arms and whimpered. What did it do to deserve being thrown out like discarded rubbish? Enchanting looked at little heavenly demon comfortingly before turning to look at the 3 unconscious men. Gosh, she was exhausted. Even though she wasn't on particularly good terms with Bailey Shi and Mu Feiroa, they had come into this mystic realm together, and given her personality, Yi Qingtang couldn't just leave them there to die. This mystic realm was filled with unknown dangers. Yi Qingtang had seen Sang Feiyu die along with the others and Qingtang reduced to a monster's plaything, and there was still Qiu Xi whom she had no idea was dead or alive. Although Yi Qingtang didn't know Qiu Xi's whereabouts, she couldn't just leave Bailey Shi and the other two now that she had seen them. The three of them were already the strongest among the 10, which was the only reason they had survived this long. If not for that, they would already have died or become the playthings of the monsters here. The more she thought about it, the more her brain started to hurt. A sigh came out of her lips. To think that out of the original 10 who had entered the mystic dimension, only 4 of them were left. These fire demons are different from the ones I remember. 3 people were at its base. I was thinking that they wouldn't have been so easy to deal with if they had been real fire demons. Little White Tiger shook itself and stabilized the 3 people on its back. The fire demons were servants of the heavenly demons and were not as strong as them, but even then they were at least at the emperor level. There was no way Yi Qingtang could have devoured them so easily. Little White Tiger had a feeling that these fire demons were just empty shells. If it had been a real fire demon controlled by the heavenly demons, there was no way they would have been a match for it, even if it had been a mutant type. You sound pretty regretful. Yi Qingtang raised her eyebrows slightly. No, you must have heard wrongly, Little White Tiger said as it quickly shook its head. Chapter 1829, Cemetery of the True Gods, 1. Yi Qingtang gave Little White Tiger a look, and didn't bother continuing the conversation. The rain of fire and flames covering the earth had all vanished following the dispersion of the fire demons, and the intense heat that had scorched into the ground was the only thing left of the flames. The key's protection was the only reason they weren't being roasted by the heat as they walked upon the smoldering ground. There was even more magma covering the ground now, dyeing the entire earth a pulsing, flaming red. The dark red magma spread across the ground like the huge web of a spider. As they ventured forward, Little White Tiger scanned the endless earth as it followed behind Yi Qingtang with the 3 people on its back. How much further is it to the cemetery of the true gods? If we meet with another incarnation of the cursed true god before we get there, we won't even have a place to hide. There were still the corpses of the true gods around them previously, but the further they went the more barren the land became. The entire earth had been scorched black by the flames from the sky. Countless bodies of the monsters lay on the ground. Once so huge they were towering in the sky above them, they had now been reduced to ashes which scattered around them as the wind blew. Yi Qingtang had already realized upon entering the scorched hot lands that there were virtually no live forms here at all. She had understood why after seeing the intensity of the flames herself. How was it possible for anything to even survive among the magma? They had probably all become spirits to be controlled like the fire demons. While it was barren where they were, it was also safer compared to before. Yi Qingtang just had to keep an eye out for the cursed true god. On the other hand, little heavenly demon looked extremely pitiful. Unable to hunt and curb its increasing hunger, it could only nestle in Yi Qingtang's arms and chew on the portions of dried meat. Now that it had a taste of the divine flavors of fresh meat when scorched under Yi Qingtang's black fire, the dried meat obviously couldn't satisfy it after it at all. Its starving eyes kept drifting over to Little White Tiger and the 3 people on its back, so hungry it was practically salivating. All it wanted was one bite. Just one bite. Yi Qingtang grimaced when saw what the little heavenly demon was looking at. How could she not understand the insatiable look of starvation in its eyes? Even though she wasn't close to Bailey Shi and Mu Feiroa, there was no way she could roast them and offer them to little heavenly demon just to satisfy its hunger. So she could only hug the little heavenly demon tightly so it couldn't pounce on them. Day after day went by. Days had morphed into months until Enchanting had no idea how long she had been walking in the scorched hot lands. The heat around them remained just as intense, as though it was trying to suck every drop of fluid from their body. There wasn't a drop of water or a morsel of food here, and she hadn't seen a single living thing the entire time. It would have been difficult for them to even survive if Enchanting hadn't stored food and water with her back from when she was in the Valley of Demons. Just as Enchanting was about to faint from the intense heat, a cool breeze blew towards them. It dissipated the heat around Enchanting immediately, clearing her fuzzy mind in an instant. Raising her head subconsciously, she looked towards the direction of the wind. But she was stunned by the sight that greeted her. Just a few hundred meters away, countless skeletons reached towards the sky. With the bones stacked against each other, it formed a creepy embattlement that sent a shiver up their spine. Chapter 1830, Cemetery of the True Gods, 2. Tons of skeletons stacked above each other. They looked to be the scattered remains from different beings and were decomposed into a graveyard of muted ash gray. The wind blew through the gaps of those remains. Before Enchanting even got closer, she could sense an intense aura of death coming from the insides of the skeleton wall. She couldn't exactly explain it. The wind wasn't piercingly cold, it felt just right to permeate through her clothes and skin, spreading all over her body. Is this the cemetery of the true gods? Enchanting lifted her head to look at the almost 20-meter-tall wall of skeletons. It was spectacular, blocking the path in front of her. Did you see it in your illusion too? Little White Tiger looked at the wall of skeletons in front and noticed that the dark aura was completely different from the aura exuded by the undead clan. Though it was deadly silent, they could somehow hear countless dead souls wailing. It was more than just sounds they could hear with their ears, the sounds could somehow permeate through to their soul. Enchanting shook her head. She only saw the cemetery of the true gods descending here in the illusion. Right after that, the cursed true god left this place and she had no idea about how the cemetery of the true gods had turned out after that. Is the cursed true god's remains behind this wall of skeletons? Little White Tiger ventured. Enchanting wasn't certain either and walked over to the wall of skeletons. Suddenly, a gust of wind permeated through the wall and blew her hair around. It hit her on the cheeks just like hailstones. It felt somewhat creepy. But she wouldn't step back even if she could sense the deadly aura. According to her memories in the illusion, the cursed true god had descended somewhere close to this wall of skeletons. The only way to leave this place would be to destroy the bones of the cursed true god. At that exact moment, Enchanting leaped and flew behind the wall of skeletons. Little White Tiger also followed her. The moment Enchanting looked down to see what was behind the wall, her eyes widened in shock. All she could see were endless dead bodies all scattered across the ground. Their faces were an ash gray, these humans seemed to be consumed by the ground. Their bodies were buried in the ground from the neck down, and only their heads were exposed. Their necks seemed to have been broken. Behind the wall of skeletons was countless humans buried under the ground. This is like purgatory. Even Little White Tiger couldn't help but shiver when it saw the entire ground buried with humans. Enchanting secretly took a deep breath to steady her pounding heart before she slowly lifted her eyes. Standing right in the center was a 100-meter-tall feminine figure. The cursed true god. The moment Enchanting saw the figure, it overlapped with the cursed true god she saw in the illusion. In the illusion, the cursed true god had been a more normal height. But this cursed true god in front of her seemed to be an expanded version. She stood tall and upright above the remains of the humans. With closed eyes and crossed arms, her skin wasn't of any discernible color at all. Her body was also ash gray, just like a stone figure. In the illusion, Enchanting saw with her own eyes that the cursed true god had collapsed in a puddle of blood. That scene was completely different from this scene in front of her eyes now. Chapter 1831, Cemetery of the True Gods, 3. The true god, who had once been so beautiful that everything else seemed to fade in comparison, had now lost all its color and stood dully in the midst of this dreadful place. The cursed true god had been long gone, and the only thing left of it was its hatred, which filled the skies. Surrounded by countless corpses, the cursed true god looked like a demon born from the depths of hell. As she took in her surroundings, Enchanting breathed in silently. The cursed true god in front of her looked nothing like it used to. They would never have entered this place if not for the appearance of the deity ocean. Now the only way they could leave this mystic realm was to destroy the bones of the cursed true god. Enchanting flew straight at the bones of the cursed true god, but as she reached the wall of bones, something seemed to hit her hard and she fell from the sky. With a crash, she landed on a pile of human skeletons. Before she could get up, Little White Tiger fell from the sky as well. The power of the curse is too strong here. There's no way we can fly above the void. Little White Tiger got up hastily. A frown appeared on Enchanting's face. The three people on Little White Tiger's back had tumbled down when it fell, but the three of them still showed no signs of waking up and only fell stiffly onto the ground. Enchanting stood up and was about to put them back on Little White Tiger's back when a deep, low breath rumbled throughout the cemetery of the true gods. What's that sound? Enchanting paused and swept her eyes around warily. As her gaze landed on the cursed true god, its tightly shut eyes suddenly opened. What? Enchanting was stunned. Almost at the same time that the cursed true god's eyes opened, deafening howls rang through the deathly quiet cemetery of the true gods. The humans embedded in their ground with only half their bodies showing, suddenly opened their eyes, which glowed a vivid red. They opened their bloody mouths and howled endlessly. What's happening? Are these people not dead? Little White Tiger looked at the reanimated bodies under his feet as a shiver ran down its spine. The dead people stared on and they howled like haunted ghouls. Their mud-stained hands clawed upwards maniacally. Save me, let me die, someone, save me. Sorrowful cries filled the cemetery of the true gods. The hairs on the Little White Tiger's back all stood on their ends as the dead people clawed upwards desperately, grabbing hold of its legs. Caught in the middle of the bodies, Enchanting was dragged to the ground by gray hands as well. These creatures were no longer humans. Their red, glowing eyes stared blankly forward as they reached out relentlessly, trying to grab hold of anything alive. They were desperately trying to pull Enchanting and Little White Tiger down with them, as if wanting them to become a part of the cemetery of the true gods with them. Enchanting lifted her hands and dark flames shot out. The ashy hands retracted hastily as her flames touched them. Taking the opportunity to free herself, Enchanting extricated herself from their clutches. But before she could even catch her breath, she saw Jiang Shaobai, who had fallen off Little White Tiger's back, being dragged into the ground by the endless sea of arms. Chapter 1832, Neither Dead Nor Alive, 1. When Enchanting saw Jiang Shaobai being dragged into the ground by those hands, she panicked and quickly shot her black flames towards it. The undead were all fearful of the black flames and retreated quickly. Without hesitating for another second, Enchanting flew straight to Jiang Shaobai and scooped him up as she shot black flames at Little White Tiger to help it out of its predicament. She threw Jiang Shaobai onto its back. Take care of them. Enchanting breathed a sigh of relief when she saw Jiang Shaobai land safely on Little White Tiger's back. She quickly darted to move Pharaoh on Bailey Shi, saving them as well. Hot. I'm going to die to this heat. The undead burnt by the black flames wailed in pain. Tears of blood flowed from their once empty eyes. Under the curse of the cursed true god, the people trapped here would never die. They would never find peace even though they were already in bits and pieces. As she looked at the sea of crying faces, Enchanting couldn't help but feel a strong sense of revulsion at all the evil in this mystic realm. The true god had hated the primordial humans for their betrayal and cursed them with this immortality, turning this entire place into a living hell. It was at this moment that Enchanting understood why those powerful men with only their head left had refused to lead her to the cemetery of the true gods. They had probably already seen all of this. This was a nightmare no one would want to experience twice. But she had no time for second thoughts as the undead covering the ground reached out at them relentlessly, wanting to drag them into the ground. Enchanting could only keep shooting her flames at them, making them retreat. The only one who was spared was little heavenly demon. The undead seemed to fear its presence and all shrank away from it whenever it passed by. Noticing this, Enchanting immediately scooped little heavenly demon into her arms before leaping and landing on little white tiger's back. The undead didn't dare reach out towards them as little heavenly demon breathed down at them. They could only glare at them with their glowing red eyes. "How many bodies are there exactly?" Little White Tiger said as it looked at the crowded sea of undead below them. Some of their heads had already been twisted by the arms of the other people, leaving only a thin layer of skin hanging on the bones. But even in this state, they were unable to die. Even as their heads were smashed by the other undead and their brain matter was smattered all over the ground, their eyes remained open as they howled miserably. It was a perversely morbid scene that gave them the chills. They were better off dead than alive and stuck in this limbo between the two realms. As long as the bones of the cursed true god were still around, they ever be able to escape their state of being neither alive nor dead. Enchanting suddenly heard a familiar sound. Her head snapped towards it, scanning the bodies for something familiar. Finally she noticed someone familiar among the sea of faces. Jean Rao. Jean Rao, who had gone missing earlier, was now buried in the sea of undead. Compared to the other undead, his face didn't look as gray, but it was pale and bloodless. However, his eyes were surrounded by a red glow as the light from his eyes slowly faded. One of his arms was missing as well and he seemed to be in a trance. Chapter 1833, Neither Dead Nor Alive, 2, Enchanting's heart quivered. She had never expected to see Jean Rao here. Almost subconsciously, she propelled herself with the black flames to Jean Rao's side. "I'll take you along." A frown appeared on her face as she focused. Grabbing hold of Jean Rao's shoulders, she tried to pull him out. Jean Rao's face remained in a trance as he continued mumbling Enchanting's name. Enchanting used all the energy in her body but was only able to drag him up a little. But what lay beneath his body made her blood run cold. Underneath him was a huge, wriggling mouth and from it were a myriad of tentacles that had already infiltrated Jean Rao's lower half. It was then that Enchanting realized that his lower half had already been fully invaded by those tentacles. Blood gushed from his wound straight into the huge mouth as it continued chewing on Jean Rao. Arg! The pain from her pulling made Jean Rao cry out in agony. The immense pain seemed to clear Jean Rao's mind. The red glow in his eyes gradually faded as he looked at Enchanting in shock and horror. He knocked Enchanting's hands away. Dragging himself up on the other dead bodies with the tentacles trailing behind him in his abdomen, he shouted at her. "Leave! You need to go now. Leave me, I can't be saved." Enchanting frowned. Even though she had already prepared for the worst, still. Jean Rao grabbed hold of an undead's head to keep the huge mouth from dragging him back. "Enchanting, thank you. I never thought that you would have wanted to save me, but it's too late." After Jean Rao was dispersed with the others, he came into contact with an extremely powerful monster. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't defeat it and was brought here. This was truly a living hell. There was no land under the undead at all, only huge, bottomless, gaping mouths full of tentacles. Once someone was caught in the tentacles and dragged into the mouth, the parts below their chest would be chewed up quickly. Jean Rao was only left with everything above his waist intact. Anything below that had long been chewed into mincemeat and swallowed up by the bottomless gaping maws. With the continuous injuries that they were taking, as well as the relentless infiltration of the tentacles, their consciousness would soon be wiped out, leaving them an empty shell of an undead. Jean Rao's consciousness had already faded to almost nothing. If not for the fact that he had met with someone familiar, he would probably not have regained the last part of his consciousness. Go, please go now. Jean Rao knew that he didn't have long to live. The once elegant young man had been reduced to something neither dead nor alive, with his consciousness almost gone. He knew that there was no way he was going to survive this and didn't want Enchanting and the rest to suffer the same fate as him. But before he could finish what he wanted to say, the tentacles piercing through him dragged him back into the huge mouth. Enchanting barely had time to grab hold of his arm, as he slipped right out of her grasp. Chapter 1834, Neither Dead Nor Alive, 2. But as though they had sensed something amiss, the tentacles dragged Jean Rao straight into the depths of the huge mouth. Go now. Jean Rao only had time to roar out one last time before being swallowed whole. He didn't want to drag Enchanting down and shouted at her to let him go. In the blink of an eye, he vanished. Enchanting looked at the shut lips, which were quickly covered by the other undead. The only thing left in her mind was his last screams. The undead began reaching for her again. Pent-up emotions welled up, bursting to the surface as Enchanting watched her comrade being swallowed whole. A huge wave of black flames surrounded her, and the undead drew back, crawling silently on the floor, afraid of the flames. You need to think of a way to destroy the cursed true god's bones soon, or we're going to die here, said Little White Tiger. This entire place was strange. Jean Rao's last words conveyed very clearly the terrifying nature underlying this place. Under their feet were countless huge mouths waiting to devour them. If one wasn't careful, they would be dragged into those gaping teeth by an army of tentacles. Enchanting breathed in deeply and jumped onto Little White Tiger's back. Then they rushed towards the cursed true god. But just as they were nearing the cursed true god, the sea of undead below them shook and a huge hill suddenly erupted in front of it. What's happening? Little White Tiger was forced to a stop. The moment it stopped, a wave of demonic aura shot out from the hill towards the sky. The undead on the hill were turned to dust in an instant. From the surge of the demonic aura, a tall, black shadow appeared in front of them. The black shadow was at least 10 meters tall and was covered in dark red flames with black armor around it. It stood quietly in front of the bones of the cursed true god, holding the blazing flame sword. Just like a guardian preventing them from approaching the cursed true god. What is that? What strong demonic aura? The Little White Tiger's eyes widened. The black-armored shadow was completed and shrouded with an intense, demonic aura. But what shocked Little White Tiger most was that the demonic aura on this shadow was in no way inferior to that on Little Heavenly Demon. Don't tell me, is this a heavenly demon? What kind of joke was this? Little White Tiger was about to go mad. Why would there be a heavenly demon in the cemetery of the true gods? Did you just say it's a heavenly demon? Enchanting was shocked as well. What was going on? Look carefully at the black armor on it. Enchanting looked closer and realized that there were red totems on the black armor surrounded by dark red flames. They looked really familiar. Is that the totem of the heavenly demons? Little White Tiger nodded. This is an armor that only the heavenly demons can use. But, why would there be one here? Enchanting was confused as well. There was no change at all to the bones of the cursed true god even when the heavenly demon appeared. Why on earth had a heavenly demon appeared here? It was standing protectively in front of the cursed true god's bones, seemingly ready to guard it with its life. Chapter 1835, Black Armor, 1. With the sudden appearance of the armored heavenly demon, Enchanting fixed her eyes on the dark figure, scanning the surroundings to prepare herself in case she needed to escape. But even after a while, the armored heavenly demon didn't make a move. He just stood there in front of the remains of the cursed true god, not moving an inch, just like a statue. Is this fellow a statue? Little White Tiger sniffed at the armored heavenly demon. Other than the demonic aura, it couldn't sense any life from it. This thing was like a deadly creature who only had an endless demonic aura. Enchanting couldn't help but feel suspicious as she looked at the armored heavenly demon that wasn't moving at all. She didn't move abruptly, but rather, got Little White Tiger to slowly advance. Right when Little White Tiger took a step forward, the armored heavenly demon suddenly moved. He raised the blazing flame sword and struck towards Little White Tiger. Whoosh! Little White Tiger leaped up in an instant. The moment the blazing flame sword hit the ground filled with the undead, it caused a huge crack right in the middle. The intense aura from the sword resulted in a charred mess of destruction in its wake. The undead as well as the huge crack were charred black. Little White Tiger secretly swallowed its saliva as it looked at the huge crack that passed through the entire cemetery of the true gods. Holy! If the sword were to land on Little White Tiger instead, its body would definitely split into two halves. Just as Little White Tiger jumped away, the armored heavenly demon suddenly stopped attacking and just held the sword tightly, standing there, not continuing its attack at all. What's going on? Why isn't he coming for us? This was Little White Tiger's first time witnessing such a situation. How could there be such a well-behaved heavenly demon? Enchanting narrowed her eyes, scanning the armored heavenly demon, and when her eyes landed on the section where the eyes would have been, she sensed something suspicious. The purpose of the armor was to provide full protection, only revealing a pair of eyes. However, when she studied the eye section, there weren't any signs of eyes in there at all. It was pitch dark, but she could somehow sense two balls of fire in there. Why did you say that he's just like a statue just now? Enchanting asked Little White Tiger. Though he has a strong demonic aura, I can't sense any life from it at all. Even if he's a heavenly demon, he surely would have some signs of life, Little White Tiger explained. Enchanting was suddenly hit by an idea. Maybe. I think that you might be wrong. What do you mean? This set of armor indeed belongs to a heavenly demon, but it could very well just be a set of armor, Enchanting said. What do you mean? Little White Tiger repeated. It was perplexed. I sensed something strange earlier when he was attacking us. When he first appeared out of nowhere, he didn't attack immediately. It was us who triggered his senses and made him feel wary. When you took one step forward, he suddenly attacked, but when you got away, he stopped moving. Do you get what I mean? Enchanting explained her thoughts. Little White Tiger was not a fool. After hearing Enchanting's explanation, its eyes lit up. So you're saying that he's just a set of armor that bears the power of the heavenly demon? That should be it, Enchanting answered. Chapter 1836, Black Armor, 2. But even if it's just a set of armor, it must have been sealed with the heavenly demon's powers. If not, you wouldn't have mistaken it for the heavenly demon at the start. Enchanting was certain about it. With the armor having the heavenly demon's powers, they wouldn't be able to fight against it. But the thing Enchanting was most curious about was why the armor was even stationed here. Until she knew more, she didn't dare act abruptly and could only take Little White Tiger with her and retreat to a safe place. The entire area struck by the armor had become a scene of charred devastation. For the moment, Enchanting decided to rest for a moment since she did not need to worry as much about the disturbance from the live grave of the undead. Somehow, it seemed that the black suit of armor could sense that Enchanting hadn't left the vicinity. It stood right in front of the cursed true god, holding the sword tightly with both hands, but it didn't seem to have any intention of attacking. Over the next few days, Enchanting continued to observe it. If she wasn't wrong, the dark armor was protecting the cursed true god's remains and would attack anyone who came close to the cursed true god. That meant that as long as they didn't go too close to the cursed true god, the armor wouldn't attack them. Knowing this, Enchanting heaved a sigh of relief. But this gave rise to another problem for Enchanting. If they couldn't get close to the cursed true god, they won't be able to destroy the remains, and this would continue as a vicious cycle. The armor would stand nothing to lose. But it wasn't the same case for her. I have an idea. Enchanting suddenly spoke up after carefully thinking about it for some time. Little White Tiger could sense something different in Enchanting's eyes, and that expression on her face sent cold chills down its spine. I don't agree. Enchanting was speechless. I haven't even said what it is yet. How can you just disagree already? Little White Tiger looked at her warily. I don't need you to explain yourself, I can already see that sly look on your face. I'm never going to agree no matter what you say. Just give up now. Don't be like that. Do you really want to stay in this hellish place forever? As if I haven't experienced it before, Little White Tiger muttered. Actually, it had stayed in the mystic realm for quite some time previously. You're really against it. Enchanting narrowed her eyes. Oh. An ominous feeling made its hair stand on end as it continued to eye Enchanting. Meanwhile, Enchanting's eyes crinkled into a smile as she pinched Little Heavenly Demon's cheeks cheekily. Are you hungry? Shall I help you roast a tiger? Once Little Heavenly Demon heard Enchanting's words, a line of drool appeared at the corner of its mouth. Eager eyes darted immediately to Little White Tiger in hopeful expectation. What? How could she? Little White Tiger was instantly furious. You're too much. Don't worry so much, I'm just discussing it with you. I can see that the armor is not that intelligent. It only acts according to its instincts. You can just find a time to direct it away and I can work on destroying the cursed true god's remains, Enchanting explained. No. There's absolutely no way I'm doing this. Little White Tiger threw a glance at the terrifying black armor and shook its head, with no intention of stopping at all. No meant no. Even if the armor did not have consciousness nor a physical body, its powers should be around that of the Heavenly Demon. Even 10 Little White Tigers wouldn't be enough to win. I'm not asking you to fight with him, you're only in charge of distracting him, Enchanting continued to coax. Unless the black armor was directed away, they would never be able to get close to the cursed true god's remains. Chapter 1837, Black Armor, 3, No Way. Little White Tiger instantly rejected her. With narrowed eyes, Enchanting lifted Little Heavenly Demon up. Almost immediately, Little Heavenly Demon opened its mouth and revealed rows of sharp teeth, looking at Little White Tiger hungrily. All of Little White Tiger's fur stood on end. Fuck. Get the hell away from me. Little Heavenly Demon had been coveting its flesh for a long time. Sigh. I don't mean to make things difficult for you, but if we don't destroy the remains of the cursed true god, none of us can leave this place. You can also see that this little thing here is starving. If we're really going to be stuck here, you know that Little Heavenly Demon will stay with me and protect me. But it seems to be interested in you, Enchanting sighed, behaving as though she was in a difficult position too. How could Little White Tiger not know that Little Heavenly Demon wanted to eat its flesh? It had been on its toes for too long to count. You. Please give me some time to consider. The corners of Little White Tiger's mouth twitched. Actually, Little White Tiger wasn't worried about being stuck in the mystic realm since it could live long enough. It was more worried about Little Heavenly Demon, since Little Heavenly Demon would eventually grow up. Since Little Heavenly Demon was still young, Enchanting could still coax it for now. But what would happen when it grew up and Enchanting couldn't do anything about it? By that time, it would be much harder to coax. Little White Tiger wasn't confident about fighting against a grown Heavenly Demon. Alright, you can take your time. I really don't want to make things difficult for you, Enchanting said earnestly. Fuck, this was her idea of not wanting to make things difficult. As Little White Tiger grit its teeth while contemplating, it looked at Little Heavenly Demon's indiscreet gaze. It couldn't help but feel a chill run down its spine. If it had goosebumps, it would surely have run all over its body. No wonder humans had a saying, only women and small-minded men are hard to deal with. It was definitely true. Again, Little White Tiger eyed the black armor. It started calculating the risks and after a while, it finally said, I'm not sure whether I can really lure him away, but he seems to not have any consciousness, only protecting the cursed true god according to its instincts. As you said earlier, it stopped once we moved away. We can give it a go, Enchanting replied. Of course she wasn't willing to gamble with Little White Tiger's life. With a huge sigh, Little White Tiger could only concede. What choice did it have? Soon enough, Enchanting started to lure the black armor away from the cursed true god. But the moment they got close, the black armor would start attacking them. After numerous tries, they identified the region that the black armor protected. However, Little White Tiger's reasoning was correct. As long as they left the forbidden region, the black armor would stop attacking them and wouldn't chase after them. After some further contemplation, Enchanting had another idea. Since the black armor is here to protect the cemetery of the true gods, what if we attack the cursed true god's remains? That will make him feel that our existence will threaten the cursed true god and he will never allow that kind of danger in the cemetery of the true gods. So you're saying that I should attack the cursed true god's remains? Little White Tiger was stunned. Enchanting nodded. Little White Tiger's expression changed and they began discussing in earnest about the change in strategy. The final decision was for Little White Tiger to retreat to a safe distance away and spew fire at the cursed true god's remains. As for Enchanting, her focus was to hide her breath until after the black armor was chasing after Little White Tiger. It was crucial that she wasn't discovered so she could work at destroying the cursed true god's remains after the black armor was lured away. Chapter 1838, The Fury of the True God, 1, That's the armor of the heavenly demons. Do you really think you'll be able to conceal yourself completely in front of him? It was clear that Little White Tiger was skeptical. I have my ways. Although Enchanting seemed confident, Little White Tiger had no idea what she had in mind. In the end, it could only follow along if they were to leave this mystic realm. Little White Tiger quickly brought Enchanting and Little Heavenly Demon away to a safer distance and put Jiang Xiaobai and the other unconscious two somewhere outside the cemetery of the true gods. Originally, Enchanting wanted Little White Tiger to take Little Heavenly Demon along with it just in case, but how could Little White Tiger feel safe with something that wanted to eat it? For all it knew, the black armor wasn't going to do any harm to it at all. It couldn't say the same for Little Heavenly Demon. That greedy thing was always staring at it like it was a delicious morsel waiting to be cooked. It's a heavenly demon. As long as it doesn't attack the bones of the cursed true god, the armor probably won't attack it, Little White Tiger said. Even though Little Heavenly Demon was still young, it was a heavenly demon after all, and was the strongest out of the three of them. Instead of worrying about it, shouldn't you worry about whether your plan will work? You only have one chance. Even if I can lure it away successfully, we're not going to have a second chance if you don't manage to destroy the bones of the cursed true god this time. Enchanting knew this as well. She threw Little White Tiger a look. It was time. With a sigh, Little White Tiger looked at the huge bones of the cursed true god in the distance, then opened its mouth and rushed towards the bones with flames around it. The moment it attacked the bones of the cursed true god, the black armor which had been standing there quietly, suddenly jolted. A red glow appeared in its empty eyes. It was clear that the attack on the bones of the cursed true god had angered the black armor. In an instant, the black armor rushed straight towards Little White Tiger. All of the hairs on Little White Tiger's back stood on end and it immediately fled. It was about to remind Enchanting to conceal herself properly but suddenly realized that Enchanting who had been beside it had vanished. What was going on? Although Little White Tiger was shocked at her disappearance, it didn't dare pause for another second. It quickly went along with their plans and ran towards the border of the cemetery of the true gods. It seemed the black armor was able to sense that Little White Tiger had attacked the bones of the cursed true god. As if attracted by an unknown force, it rushed straight towards Little White Tiger. The two figures vanished suddenly from the cemetery of the true gods. The moment the black armor vanished, twisted space suddenly appeared in the void. In the next second, Enchanting dropped down from the twisted space and straight onto the mass of contorted undead beneath her. It was impossible for Enchanting to conceal her breath from the heavenly demon, but the deity ocean within her could twist space. The moment Little White Tiger attacked the bones of the cemetery of the true gods, Enchanting had activated the deity ocean and crossed through to the other dimensional space. Once she had entered it, her breath naturally disappeared from the cemetery of the true gods. When Enchanting looked around, she realized that Little White Tiger and the black armor had already vanished from her sight. Yes! Her plan had worked. But it was too early to celebrate and she didn't dare get distracted. She had no idea when the black armor would reappear. Chapter 1839, The Fury of the True God, 2, There was no time to waste. Without further ado, Enchanting rushed straight towards the huge figure of the cursed true god. As she landed on the bones of the cursed true god, Enchanting felt immense pressure crushing her from all sides as a familiar song started playing beside her ear. Thump, thump. Enchanting's heart sped up and she lifted her eyes to scan around her subconsciously. But the cursed true god was nowhere to be seen. It was as though the song was coming right from her heart. A loud crack suddenly sounded from behind the cursed true god. As Enchanting lifted her eyes to look, she saw a pair of gray wings growing from the back of the cursed true god. What was going on? A sense of dread rose from within Enchanting. Instinctively, she concentrated all her energy and constructed a huge sword of black flames which she swung directly down at the bones of the cursed true god. There was no time to think. This was her only chance. As her sword swung towards the bones, the cursed true god suddenly opened her mouth and let out a soul-piercing howl. The moment the howl spread through the cemetery, Enchanting felt as though her body was being ripped apart. Blood started spurting from her eyes, nose, and mouth. The song in her heart gradually became more intense, inciting deep-rooted insanity that was filled with bitter resentment. The sense of dread in Enchanting's heart soared. Even though the black armor had been lured away by Little White Tiger, the cursed true god's overwhelming resentment still remained in her body. This was from the true god's anger. The blood spurting from her mouth seemed to aggravate the undead below her and they let out heart-wrenching groans of anguish. Their bodies twisted as they crawled upwards, as though trying to crawl out of the ground. Lowly humans, the cursed true god's voice sounded out. You betrayed your god. You traitors, you're just like him, all traitors. And the only thing that awaits traitors is death. The cursed true god's voice was filled with malicious contempt. Enchanting had not expected the cursed true god's resentment to appear now. She wanted to escape, but it was too late. The cursed true god's red eyes were already fixated on Enchanting. Unwittingly, she felt a force grab her. Ah! Crushed within the grasp of the force, she was lifted into the air. Every inch of her bones hurt so badly that it made her scalp numb. While little white tiger was luring the black armor away, it suddenly heard an earth-shattering howl. The black armor which had been chasing after it suddenly paused as it heard the sound. As though he had sensed something, he quickly flew back towards the cursed true god. Sensing something had gone terribly wrong, little white tiger pelted back as quickly as it could to warn Enchanting. It never expected to see the awoken cursed true god holding Enchanting midair. Its heart rose to its throat in an instant. The pain was unbearable and Enchanting wanted to use the twisted space to escape, but the moment she tried to activate the deity ocean, the pressure around her increased. It hurt so much. It was so painful and an endless stream of blood came from Enchanting's mouth. Chapter 1840, Truth, 1. The scene in front of its eyes made little white tiger freeze. It wanted to move forward and save Enchanting, but with the cursed true god's pressure over the entire cemetery of the true gods, it couldn't go against the god's fury. Only death can pay for your sins. The cursed true god's voice was heard above all and she shot a beam of red light at Enchanting with her eyes. That was it. Enchanting's heart sank. But even before the beam of red light reached her, a small figure suddenly appeared in front of her, taking the fatal blow from the cursed true god for her. Little heavenly demon. Enchanting's eyes widened in shock as she looked at the little figure who had taken the cursed true god's devastating attack for her. The red beam of light surrounded little heavenly demon and small cracks started forming on its body. Don't bother about me. Leave. Enchanting felt suffocated. Little heavenly demon was no longer as obedient as it used to be. The moment the red light surrounded its tiny body, it turned its head around, trying hard to open its eyes as wide as possible to look at Enchanting. The next moment, with a loud blow, it exploded. It had reached its limits. In absorbing all of the destructive forces from the cursed true god, it had resulted in an immense buildup of energy. The resulting explosion threw Enchanting onto the ground. At the same time, little heavenly demon's tiny body collapsed into a tiny heap. Enchanting couldn't care less about her pain, she rushed towards little heavenly demon and held on to it frantically. Heavenly demon, humans, betrayers. You all must die. The cursed true gods was still in a fury, and the red light in her eyes became even brighter. Not seeming to notice, Enchanting held little heavenly demon in her arms and looked at it. Its eyes were closed and she couldn't help but feel sorry for it. Her chest hurt, feeling as though someone had cut her flesh and lit it on fire. Little white tiger was dumbfounded, but its gaze remained on the black armor. The black armor seemed to not have any intentions of attacking them for now. Wake up! Wake up! Enchanting tried to wake little heavenly demon up, but it still didn't open its eyes. It was rapidly losing its vitality, even its originally warm body was gradually losing warmth and turning cold. No! It couldn't be like this. Right when the little heavenly demon was disappearing, cracks suddenly started appearing on the black armor's body. What was happening? Before little white tiger could hazard a guess, huge cracks suddenly appeared on the black armor as it shattered, collapsing onto the ground. At that exact moment, little heavenly demon's body suddenly left Enchanting's arms and flew up towards the void. While it was flying upwards, little heavenly demon's body suddenly exploded. Beams of light shot out from the little heavenly demon's body. In that instant, the scene before Enchanting's eyes had become an illusion. It was a chaotic scene but also felt really familiar to Enchanting. It was a few 100,000 years ago when the primordial humans worked with the heavenly demon to launch an attack on the true god. Enchanting had seen it before in the shrine. But this time, it was different. In her illusion, the heavenly demon named Tu Fu seemed to be confined in a secluded underground prison. That time, he had defeated the primordial humans who guarded him and escaped. Chapter 1841, Truth. Tu Fu arrived at the temple and the once resplendent inner palace was completely destroyed. Long abandoned, it only contained the shattered remnants of its former glory. Like a madman, he flew all everywhere, searching for the familiar figure in the temple, but to no avail. I never betrayed you once, I've been searching for you all along. After everything we've been through, I'm still late. I'm sorry, I didn't keep my promise. I didn't stay by your side and protect you in your times of need. I'm sorry, Tu Fu's voice could be heard in the illusion. He searched every single corner on the battlefield, but he never found the cursed true god. When he finally went back to the temple to search for one last hope, he found out. The one he loved was already dead. Gone. All that was left of her was a consciousness that was filled with hatred. In the secret chamber of the temple, the cursed true god's remaining consciousness went out of control and Tu Fu was heavily injured. It was at that exact moment that he realized that the one he loved was already consumed by hatred. He gave up the option to leave and used the last vestiges of his life to inscribe an incantation on the wall for the heavenly demons. The moment the array was completed, his body was torn into pieces. If she was no longer here, why should he even continue living? The one he needed was no longer here. She was gone. Since he wasn't able to fulfill his promises when they were both alive, he would stay by her side forever once he died. Tu Fu's powers. A part of it became a protective power that seeped into the black armor, protecting the cursed true god's remains forever. Another part of it became a newly born little heavenly demon that would search for her illusion. These illusionary images flashed past Enchanting and the cursed true god's eyes. Slowly, these hidden secrets had become unraveled. Enchanting was stunned. She recalled that she had seen the mysterious incantation in the temple. Back then, she had no idea what it was, but now, she finally understood. Tu Fu had never betrayed the cursed true god. He had been searching for her all along. Then when she was gone he was using his life to protect her. Even when she had already become the sinister cursed true god. After all, she was the only one he had ever loved. Even after the illusion faded away, Enchanting couldn't muster the energy to pull herself together. Never could she have imagined that Tu Fu had such deep love for the cursed true god. He never once betrayed her. Just like how the cursed true god was willing to give up her true god status to be with him, he chose death to protect her forever. This was his form of redeeming himself, for not being able to save her. These misunderstandings changed the once blissful and benevolent true god to become the cursed true god that was consumed with hatred. Enchanting subconsciously lifted her head. Was it possible for the cursed true god's remaining consciousness to see all of this? The moment she looked up, she was stunned. The remains suddenly disappeared, and all that was left behind was a beautiful figure standing there. This beautiful woman slowly lifted her head, looking at the radiant light in the sky. The corners of her lips quirked up as tears trickled down the corners of her eyes. "Why didn't you tell me earlier? Why?" Her voice was choked in sorrow. Over these 100,000 years, she had been filled with hatred. But she had no idea that during these years, he had been by her side, protecting her all along. Seeing the shattered pieces of black armor on the ground before her, the cursed true god's eyes were filled with despair. Chapter 1842, Truth. 3. Back then, she remembered how she used to touch his armor, running her fingers over the dark ridges that were filled with the warmth from his body. But why? Why did she only remember that familiar black armor only now? Now they had well and truly missed each other. The cursed true god picked up every piece of the shattered armor, cherishing it dearly. Once it was in her hands, her body started to fade, shattering into translucent specks that slowly disappeared in front of their eyes. There were sounds of clattering. Before she completely disappeared, the pieces of black armor dropped onto the ground. At the same time, the clamor from the undead seemed to fall to a muted state, as the bodies suddenly stopped moving and stiffened, filling the destroyed land with a deafening silence. Quick, go and destroy the cursed true god's remains. Her resentment has disappeared. Little White Tiger quickly reacted. Enchanting was slightly stunned. Lifting her eyes, she saw that a female skeleton lay at the position where the remains of cursed true god was previously. As Enchanting walked over, a complicated feeling washed over her. The cursed true god's resentment was due to the betrayal of humans, but Tu Fu's supposed betrayal maximized it. When the misunderstanding was resolved, exacerbated by the sacrifice of Tu Fu's life, she could finally let her resentment go. Who was ultimately at fault? Enchanting mused as she looked down at the cursed true god's remains. Suddenly she went down on knee, bowing towards the cursed true god's remains. After all, the primordial humans were the ones who betrayed their creator. Since the cursed true god was part of the gods, how could she not have any resentment? Being a human, entering this mystic realm and having to suffer from the strength of the curse, Enchanting was a victim. However, the true gods that descended a couple 100,000 years ago were also victims. Enchanting never believed in gods, but she truly admired the heartfelt love between the cursed true god and heavenly demon, Tu Fu. Stretching out her palm, Enchanting summoned the black flames and started burning the remains of the cursed true god. As the remains of the cursed true god continued to burn, the undead on the ground started recovering their human state. The huge crack on the ground started mending and the undead masses finally recovered their freedom. But that freedom wasn't true freedom. They were alive, but they could never leave this mystic realm. Although the cursed true god had disappeared, the remnants of her life force were still left behind in the mystic realm. The only difference now was that they had the option of death. No longer were they forced into the endless, torturous limbo between life and death. Enchanting watched as the remains of the cursed true god burned into ashes. She silently transferred the ashes into a container, collecting the shattered pieces of Tu Fu's armor and buried it in the cemetery of the true gods. No one could determine who was right or wrong. Everyone had different circumstances and experiences. It is never black or white, right or wrong. Taking in a deep breath, Enchanting felt an inexplicable feeling from the deity ocean, a subtle change passing throughout her body. Her heart palpitated. She instantly took Little White Tiger with her, wanting to take the three together with her. However, when Enchanting looked at the cemetery of the true gods, feeling extremely stifled. Though the remains of the cursed true god had been successfully destroyed, that little glutton would never come back. She didn't even get to collect its corpse. Little Heavenly Demon was an evolution from Tu Fu's remaining life force, but for Enchanting, it was her unique Little Heavenly Demon. However, there was nothing she could do. Enchanting lowered her eyes. She could finally leave this place. How many others would never be able to leave this mystic realm? As Enchanting mulled over those thoughts, the deity ocean in her body could somehow sense that she was going to leave. The dimensional door suddenly opened. This time, the distortion of the space-time continuum was much more stable. Enchanting froze. Could this be the reason why the deity ocean kept her from leaving previously? Was it because of the force from the cursed true god's resentment? Enchanting didn't dare continue thinking about it. She hurriedly took Little White Tiger and the 3 others with her as they leaped into the dimensional door. She also wasn't certain about whether the deity ocean would send her back here again. But at least, she had tried. After they entered the dimensional door and the door closed, many speckles of light appeared above the void of the cemetery of the true gods. The speckles gathered and formed into a tiny, black figure. Chapter 1843, Crossdresser, 1. Enchanting felt the world spin, and by the time she opened her eyes, everything was different. The cemetery of the true gods had disappeared and a quiet forest replaced it. The oppressive aura surrounding Enchanting also vanished, and the powers in her body slowly recovered to their normal levels. Have we finally gotten out of the mystic realm? Enchanting scanned her surroundings. She wasn't certain whether she had indeed left the mystic realm or not. What if she was still in another part of it? She stopped herself from acting rashly and stood on the spot with Little White Tiger and the 3 unconscious bodies. She wouldn't be surprised if they were going to be sent back again. But even after a while of waiting, Enchanting still didn't feel any signs of being pulled away at all and was perplexed. Was she really out of the mystic realm? Suddenly, she heard a moan coming from Little White Tiger's back. Jiang Xiaobai finally woke up. His face was slightly pale and he seemed really pitiful. The moment he opened his eyes, a sharp look flashed across his eyes, but when he lifted his head to look at Enchanting, the look instantly vanished. Sister Qing. Jiang Xiaobai was both surprised and elated to see Enchanting, a wide smile appearing on his face. Seeing that Jiang Xiaobai had woken up, Enchanting heaved a huge sigh of relief. When Jiang Xiaobai and the others were unconscious previously, Enchanting couldn't help but worry that they would never wake up. Now it seemed. As long as they left the mystic realm, they would recover consciousness. Sister Qing, why are you here? Where are we? Jiang Xiaobai was feeling dizzy, and his last memory was of the monster's attack after everyone lost touch with each other. He continued trying to find his escape after that and fell into a huge hole. He had no idea what happened after that. Enchanting glanced at him. Even though his face was slightly pale, judging from his steady breathing, she could tell that he had already recovered. She scoffed at him, her lips curled up into a sneer. Jiang Xiaobai froze when he noticed Enchanting's cold attitude. He frowned, showing a painful expression. Sister Qing, my entire body hurts. Am I going to die? This fellow is still putting up an act. Enchanting crossed her arms as she replied, I've taken a good look at your body, you're completely fine. Jiang Xiaobai hadn't figured out what she had meant. Little White Tiger wasn't in the mood to carry this burden who's already awake. It shook its body so that all 3 of them would get down. With that, Jiang Xiaobai fell on his bum and the clothes wrapped around his body started unraveling and he was instantly naked. When the cold wind blew, Jiang Xiaobai instantly became sober. He looked at his naked self before his eyes riveted on Enchanting. What the fuck, where were his clothes? Jiang Xiaobai's smile stiffened. Back when Enchanting saw him bathing, he could still argue that it was because he wasn't fully grown up and developed yet. But now, Enchanting had seen him fully naked. Even if he wasn't fully grown, anyone would be able to differentiate what a female should have and should not have. Chapter 1844, Crossdresser, 2, Sister Qing, please listen to my explanation. Jiang Xiaobai looked at Enchanting aggrievedly. Enchanting leaned against a branch, crossing her arms as she looked at Jiang Xiaobai calmly. I'm listening. She sounded calm and collected, but when Jiang Xiaobai had goosebumps all over as he grabbed the pieces of cloth to cover himself as much as he could. Sister Qing, do you know the saying born at the wrong time? Jiang Xiaobai carefully continued, I was supposed to be a girl. Was this how born at the right time was supposed to be used? The corners of Yi Qingtang's lips twitched slightly. Sister Qing, even though I'm like this, I'm actually a shy girl inside. Jiang Xiaobai tried his best to blink innocently, trying to convince Yi Qingtang that even though he had a male physique, he was really a girl inside. You're really extremely shy. I see. She punctuated each word with a jab at his chest. She had never met anyone this shameless. If Jiang Xiaobao really was a shy girl, why would he stick so closely to her once he saw her? When she thought about how pretended to be a woman in front of her, Yi Qingtang couldn't help but feel like beating him up. She always let him have his way all because he's the young girl. If she had known that he was a chap, she would have kicked him far away. Sister Qing, don't praise me like that. I'll feel really shy. Jiang Xiaobai lowered his head, behaving coy. Praise. At that moment, all Yi Qingtang wanted to do was give him a kick in the face. It was only then Yi Qingtang finally recalled that when Jiang Yixing and the others saw Jiang Xiaobai, they had complicated expressions on their faces. Even a young man like Jiang Qi didn't avoid Jiang Xiaobai whenever Jiang Xiaobai held his arm. It must be that everyone in the Jiang family knew of Jiang Xiaobai's gender, except herself. Ugh! She only had herself to blame, she was too naive and had not realized. Put on your clothes properly. Yi Qingtang had to take a deep breath to stop herself from strangling him to death. I'll take your young age into account and forget about it this time. If you're any older and still dare to dress up a female, you'd better get the hell out, otherwise people would take you for a pervert. Right after Yi Qingtang finished her words, Mu Feiruo, who had just woken up, was utterly confused. Dressing as a female. Pervert. Mu Feiruo was stunned, but he didn't have much of an expression on his face. He thought that his identity hadn't been exposed yet, but it was only till he saw that he only had a layer of outerwear covering his body and was totally naked inside, all the color drained from his face. What the fuck, where are his clothes? Mu Feiruo, you're a man too. When Jiang Xiaobai saw Mu Feiruo get up, he noticed that Mu Feiruo had the same fetish as him and he quickly dragged Mu Feiruo down with him. Mu Feiruo, he was wrong, he shouldn't have woken up. Ah, I know. The pervert that Sister Qing is talking about, those who are not young anymore but still cross-dress, it's you. Jiang Xiaobai had no reservations, he completely pulled Mu Feiruo under the bus. Yi Qingtang, she didn't mean that. Mu Feiruo's face flushed red. He quietly pulled the outerwear together to cover his flat chest. Sister Qing, don't worry. I will never learn from him, I won't become a pervert. If you don't like this, I can change back to dressing as a male. Jiang Xiaobai said with an obedient expression on his face. His words completely embarrassed Mu Feiruo, making Mu Feiruo feel like he was stripped naked in front of them. Chapter 1845, Crossdresser, 3. Jiang Xiaobai's gender wasn't a secret within the ancient clans at all. Everyone knew that he was a male, but he had a unique personality and liked dressing as a female, so no one bothered about him. As for Mu Feiruo, he grew up with a female identity in the Mu family and everyone else saw him as a female. Moreover, he was first place in the previous beauty rankings. He was a goddess who could only be appreciated from far away in Jiang Yixing's eyes. Stop talking nonsense. Me, young Master Mu, is low-key. Yi Qingtang tried her best to cover for Mu Feiruo. Mu Feiruo, he didn't want to say anything else. Please just let him fall unconscious and die. The biggest tragedy in life was suffering such a huge blow after coming back from the dead. He wasn't prepared for it at all, why did he have to experience such brutality? Even if he wasn't a tender flower, they should give him basic respect at least. Whatever Sister Qing says. Jiang Xiaobai was extremely pleased that Yi Qingtang was distracted. With his eyes crinkling into a smile, he put on a coat and appeared beside Yi Qingtang. He stretched his hand out, wanting to cling onto Yi Qingtang's arm as he always used to. However, this time, Yi Qingtang slapped his hand away. Sister Qing, you've changed. You no longer love me. Jiang Xiaobai covered his face with his hands, almost tearing as he looked at Yi Qingtang aggrievedly. How can you be sexist? Apologies, I favor girls over boys, Yi Qingtang replied honestly. Jiang Xiaobai was furious. Without an avenue to vent his frustrations, Jiang Xiaobai's eyes landed on Mu Feiruo, who was trying his best to cover his body up. His eyes then riveted on Bailey Shi, who lay on the ground without moving at all. He then kicked Bailey's eyes leg. Stop pretending. You woke up long ago, why are you still lying there? Having been kicked a few times, Bailey Shi was forced to sit up. With a stiff expression on his usually cold face, he was at a loss. He hadn't expected himself to hear such exciting news right when he woke up. Bailey Shi wasn't interested in the affairs of others, so he didn't know Jiang Xiaobai's gender and only saw him as a young, capable lady from the Jiang family. But as for Mu Feiruo, looking at his past competitor, Bailey Shi felt really complicated inside. Mu Feiruo felt even more complicated inside. Coughs. Where are we now? Bailey Shi pretended that nothing had just happened. He only remembered himself dropping into a huge hole and nothing else after that. Everyone present had powers and they could feel that the surroundings and aura now was completely different from that of the mystic realm previously. Yi Qingtang didn't intend to hide anything. She told them about her meeting them, destroying the remains of the cursed true god, as well as traveling through time. But she hid the purpose of the deity ocean from them, only explaining that because the cursed true god's remains had been destroyed, they ended up in this safe place. After Jiang Xiaobai and the others heard Yi Qingtang's words, they couldn't help but feel scared inside. They hadn't expected themselves to be consumed by the forces of the mystic realm and become mutant fire demons. Though Yi Qingtang hadn't gone into the nitty-gritty details, they could already tell that it was extremely dangerous from her description. 10 of them stepped into the immortal footsteps mystic realm together and yet only the 4 of them came out alive. The arrogant Bailey Shi and Mu Feiruo knew that if not for Yi Qingtang, they probably would have died in the mystic realm. Chapter 1846, Immortal Footsteps Mystic Realm, 1. They were unconscious when the remains of the cursed true god were destroyed. If Yi Qingtang hadn't taken them out of the mystic realm, they would have been trapped in there forever. After all, Yi Qingtang had nothing to do with them, other than the fact that they had entered the mystic realm at the same time. In contrast, Jiang Xiaobai and Yi Qingtang were both from the Jiang family, so it wasn't surprising that Yi Qingtang saved Jiang Xiaobai. It was partly thanks to Jiang Xiaobai that Yi Qingtang saved them too. No words can express my gratitude towards you. I'll remember this forever. Bailey Shi suddenly got up and spoke. He was a man of few words. This was his first time saying so many words to someone other than his younger sister. Mu Feiruo also got up to voice his thanks. Yi Qingtang's gaze shifted. Coughs. Don't you need to find some clothes to put on? Only then Bailey Shi and Mu Feiruo noticed that the outerwear had ripped open when they got up. They exposed every part of their body, even those that they shouldn't. The 2 astonishing geniuses' faces flushed red. They panicked and quickly took some clothes out from the space ring and put them on. As for Jiang Xiaobai, he was rather calm compared to them. He slowly put on his clothes, wanting to move towards Yi Qingtang again, but she only glared at him in response. All he could do was to back off. Jiang Xiaobai wasn't happy and he looked at Bailey Shi and Mu Feiruo. Isn't it too late to be feeling embarrassed? Both of you have already exposed yourselves when you were unconscious earlier, Bailey Shi and Mu Feiruo. They really had the urge to sew his mouth together. Yi Qingtang thought the same. Wasn't Jiang Xiaobai too mean? My pet helped cover your bodies with the outerwear. Yi Qingtang told a white lie so they wouldn't die of embarrassment. It was only after they heard this that Bailey Shi and Mu Feiruo breathed a sigh of relief. Jiang Xiaobai was just about to say something mean again, but before he started, Yi Qingtang shot a glare in his direction. Actually, how I wish Sister Qing would personally put it on for me, Jiang Xiaobai said. Haha, Yi Qingtang didn't want to bother with him. Mu Feiruo had always dressed as a female and so the clothes in the space ring were all female clothing. But now that his gender had been revealed, if he were to put on female clothing again, he couldn't help but recall Yi Qingtang calling those people perverts earlier on. He instantly put the clothes back into the space ring, borrowing a set of clothing from Bailey Shi as he changed into it. After putting on the clothes, a trio of handsome men were facing Yi Qingtang. Bailey Shi and Mu Feiruo were extremely good-looking. Bailey Shi had a cold aura like that of a young master, while Mu Feiruo had a pair of attractive almond-shaped eyes. His beauty was understated when dressed as a female, but after putting on male clothing. Somehow, Yi Qingtang felt that his charisma could not be contained. Yi Qingtang was intelligent, she kept her thoughts to herself and didn't mention anything that would make Mu Feiruo feel uncomfortable. This doesn't seem to be an island. Mu Feiruo seemed to be more normal after putting on clothes. He scanned the surroundings, realizing that everything was unfamiliar to him. The aura here is similar to the Immortal Footsteps mystic realm we entered the other time, just that the interior is completely different, Bailey Shi said. They had entered the Immortal Footsteps mystic realm before, and even though the Immortal Footsteps mystic realm would change every single time, the overall feeling would still be somewhat similar. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.